We are out here at Andrews Park in Norman, Oklahoma, and we decided we were going to go live for the Solidarity in Charlottesville event, and the speakers are getting ready to start, so we're going to move over there pretty quickly. But I think it's important to recognize that, regardless of what solutions we're working on, we have to communicate before we can solve them. So we're going to move over here and watch some of these good speakers, and then we can talk a little bit more later.
Can you hear me? Yeah, all right. This is a spectacular turnout. Thank you all. On the first day of school, with everything else going on, this was the place to be tonight, and thank you for being here. First, a thanks to Alicia Cardula. She's the Ward 2 City Council member for Norman, who just felt entirely on her own that we needed something. We needed a moment. Thank you. My name is Sherry Jackson. I know a lot of you. Some of you I hope to get to meet soon. I grew up in Norman. I was born here. I grew up here. I went to the University of Oklahoma here. Most of you know that Norman is a former sundown town, right? We know that. And I grew up in my class with the children of the first families of color who bought houses and integrated this town. And we walked that road together. I am proud of this town, of the progress it's made. I'm proud of the committees I sit on and the groups that I speak with and the humans that I know that work actively every day to keep this town awake and opening and moving forward. That deserves a round of applause. But we're here tonight because we all saw something last week that even in the middle of that work and the understanding of the work yet to do with systemic oppression and biases and problems that maybe shocked us all. I hope shocked us all. And we're here to stand with Charlottesville. It could have been anywheresville, USA. But we're here because we are the people here in Norman to make sure that that's not our home. And that we are listening. And that we are awake. We have a lot of fantastic speakers to talk to you tonight. They're going to tell you some things they've been through. They're going to tell you some things they're working on. They'll tell you some things that might make you feel really great and some things that are going to hurt. But we're here to listen and to learn and to hold on to each other and know that when we leave here tonight, we're the ones that go home and have the hard conversations with our family, in our churches, in our communities, and we keep the progress moving forward. Thank you all so much for being here.
Hello, I am Nyla Khan. I'm a global citizen, and today I have the privilege of seeing the power of community and democracy in action. As I contemplate the peacefulness and unconditional love that pervade the environment on a quiet day in my home away from home, I reflect on my personal and intellectual trajectory that brought me from my homeland, Kashmir, which is cradled by the Himalayas in the south and the Karakoram Range in the north, to the rolling plains of Oklahoma. My political, ideological, and cultural leanings rendered me a foreigner in the American Midwest when I first arrived. The initial sense of not belonging and of having to make it in a territory that was oblivious to my lineage, my cultural heritage, and everything that I had up until then considered my anchor was disorienting. But that taught me the strength in vulnerability and living in my power from a place of worthiness. That taught me the power of coexistence. The American Midwest has been good to me. I have enjoyed living and working in the states of Oklahoma and Nebraska. I've learned a lot from the tertiary institutions as well as the professional and community organizations that I have been affiliated with. The howling winds of this region constantly remind me about the purpose of life, which is greater than merely existing. I believe and trust in myself with a passion, and in forging connections, and having the courage to reach out even to those who don't have much in common with me. And the howling winds also remind me that the younger generation of Kashmiris and Americans has been disfigured by the inability of a polarized culture and polarized climate to recognize their political, socioeconomic, and cultural aspirations. I would venture to say that we, Kashmiris and Americans, crave a world in which social justice, political enfranchisement, cultural pride, and self-realization are the order of the day. I emphasize that the identity of a state or a nation cannot be built on unquenchable hate, and certainly not on cashing in on the pain and grief of other people. It is, or at least should be, inconceivable in the day and age of a global economy to spurn the concepts of reason, rationality, and political and moral ethics. The perpetuation of a politics that emphasizes, reinforces, or creates cultural myopia and monocultural identities in a society as diverse as that of the United States would be the bane of our existence. This damaging short-sightedness has resulted in intolerance, arbitrary justice, tyranny, and ignorance. Dissatisfaction with the policies of governments should not encourage the glorification of reactionary politics. Civil society organizations, like local communities and political institutions, are closely interconnected. In order to create democracy, there must be a minimum of participation and adequate pluralism in a society. A consolidated democracy has to be open to diverse opinions. Dissent and differences of opinion on policies are important elements of every democracy. We are in a university town, so one of the things that the Civil Society of Norman and other civil society organizations in Oklahoma can emphasize is the indispensability of a quality education. Democratic, social, and educational institutions cannot function in the United States without participation by citizens. Nurturing a civil society that bridges racial and religious divides is a prerequisite for the effective and legitimate functioning of educational institutions. Despite the several letdowns, we need to remember that the process of democratization is an evolutionary one and does not provide instant solutions. To further this process, it is important to maintain the pluralistic, regional, cultural, religious, and linguistic ethos of the United States. My notion of America is that of a mosaic, carefully crafted from the assemblage of different materials. My daughter, Iman, who is with us tonight, was born in New York City and raised in the American Midwest, specifically Nebraska and Oklahoma. Whenever I reminisce in Iman's presence and attempt to tell her about the challenges of straddling two geographical, cultural, political, and religious spaces, she doesn't hesitate to tell me that I intellectualize every experience, making it out to be more complex than it actually is. But, I tell her, it is a privilege to identify with more than one cultural, political, and religious paradigm. My experiences and trajectory have enabled me to create a richer, more pluralistic world to inhabit. I am an inhabitant of a multicultural realm which removed the blinders of an uncritical acceptance of custom and tradition a long time ago. I will admit that I still find the opulence of rituals comforting, and some traditions which are not regressive give me a sense of strength and durability. Although I was born into a Muslim family and was educated in a Catholic school run by Irish nuns, I indulge my senses by visiting and lighting a devotional candle at the Greek Orthodox Church, which is a stone's throw away from my house in Edmond, because the elaborate ritualism, beautifully set up nativity scene, and intricate murals of that place of worship reinforce my belief that faith can move mountains. And the rising and falling journey of life has taught me that come what may, one cannot stop believing and trusting in oneself. And one cannot stop believing in the power of community to effect constructive change. So God bless you all, and God bless the democratic United States of America.
Alright, basically my phone's gonna die, so I'm gonna switch phones for you.